Hi, fifth grade band parents. I just thought I'd make a video to kind of summarize all of the information in this email. I know it's a lot of information, but I thought it was important for it all to be in one place and all the details to be included. So this just serves as a little bit of a summary, and then you can go through and look at things a little bit more specifically. So our rollout for fifth grade band is going to work a little bit differently this year, simply because we are on Zoom. So we kind of have one additional step that we wouldn't typically have in a normal year. So what's going to happen is I'm going to ask families to acquire students' instruments by October 14th. So whether you're planning on renting an instrument or purchasing an instrument, I'm going to ask that everyone do that by October 14th. And then the following 2 days after that, the 15th and 16th, your child is going to be bringing their instrument to school. When they arrive, they'll be dropping in a designated area in the fifth grade hallway. We just make sure that instrument cases are labeled with students' first and last names. And if you are an all-remote student, if your family can just email me and we'll set up a time for a contactless trade-off for me to grab it. So the whole purpose of me collecting students' instruments is because we are doing band on Zoom. I, number one, want to check that everyone's instrument is in correct working order because I'm not going to be there in person to check those things and make adjustments. So I'll be checking every single instrument that's in working order, and then I'm actually going to be marking every single instrument. And what I mean by that is I'm going to be using some stickers, I'll be using some fingernail polish and different things, color coding so students know exactly where their hands go. Different instruments have different placements for thumbs, and I'm going to make it so everyone's instrument's going to look exactly the same. So that way when students are on Zoom with me in class, it's going to be really nice for instruction. I can say, okay, your finger's going to go here where this marking is, and everyone's instrument, even though they might be different brands and different things, will all look the same, and it'll make instruction and understanding a lot easier for students. So I'll be collecting all of those, doing all that stuff. It's about a 2-week process for me to get through all of those instruments. And then on Saturday, October 31st, which happens to be Halloween, we are going to have a fifth grade instrument pickup extravaganza. And what that means is that day, anywhere between 8 a.m. and to 2:30 p.m., we're going to have families sign up for a 20-minute time slot, and students accompanied by one parent are going to be coming into the middle school, and we're going to have different stations, and students are going to have a mini lesson on how to put their instrument together, how to hold it, and how to put it away. And the purpose of that, number one, is to give students an actual in-person experience for band. We will not be playing instruments. We'll simply be putting them together, taking them apart. But that's actually a pretty big task for students. Instruments are complicated. They have a lot of pieces. They're also fragile. So we want to give students a chance to do that with a teacher. So students will be either taught by high school band members or by some local area middle school band directors that we've hired thanks to our Parents Association and the Music Boosters. It also gives that parent who's with their child a chance to ask questions about their instrument and how things go together. So at that extravaganza, you'll be picking up your instrument that will be marked. If you ordered any accessories like a book or a music stand, reeds, oils, any of that, that will all be there so you can get all of that stuff at once. So we think it'll be a really fun event. It's going to be all socially distant, super safe. Everyone's wearing masks. We have time slots, so we make sure everyone is spaced out accordingly. Very few people in the building at the time. I've talked with administration and school nurses about what we need to do. So we think it'll be a really fun, nice, band community event. It's just going to look a little different than our typical mini lesson rollout that we do in the past. So that's kind of our overall timeline and overview for how our instrument rollout is going to work. So there are a couple of different ways that families can acquire instruments for band. One is a rent-to-own program, and Music and Arts is the company that services our school. So they have a monthly rental program, and it's rent-to-own because your monthly payments go towards the potential purchase of the instrument. So eventually you would pay it off, or you can choose to buy the instrument before your contract is up. So they deal with all the details of that, and there's information about that attached to the email. If you are planning on renting, you'll be doing that online at musicarts.com/rentals, and that has to be completed by October 14th in order for students' instruments to be delivered to me so I can mark them. As long as you press the ship to school option, all those instruments are going to come directly to me, so your child won't even have to bring it in for me to do all of the markings that I'm planning on. And then that instrument will be there at the instrument event on the 31st. So that's the rental program. Other families choose to buy an instrument, whether it's new or used. I will say that buying an instrument is a deceptively tricky task. The biggest thing to look for in instruments is the instrument brand. Not all instruments are made equal. If something looks too good to be true, it's because it is. New quality instruments are expensive. So I often tell parents, if they're looking at buying, to buy a good quality used instrument. So I have in the email a list of reputable brands. I ask that you try to stick with that, because what can happen is, especially online, you can find some instruments that are just a few $100s that are new, but those instruments are what band directors and instrument repairmen refer to as instrument-shaped objects. They look really nice, they're shiny, and sometimes even for us that are band directors, it can be a little bit hard to tell, but they're made out of inferior metals that bend really easily, and those instruments end up breaking usually within a few weeks, which causes students a lot of frustration because they can't play their instrument. They don't understand that the instrument's the problem, not them. And then it ends up costing families more money. So I just ask, take a look at that list of reputable instrument brands, because that will make sure your child gets a great instrument. And I've also listed a resource for purchasing used instruments. We're lucky to have a really nice used instrument dealer in our area, and they're all serviced by a qualified repairman. So those are the two ways that you would get instruments. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I know it can be tricky knowing what is good and what's not, so that brand of instrument list is really helpful. And then if you ever have a question before you buy, please just send me an email. I'd much rather save you stress and extra money and frustration in the long run and answer those questions in advance. So students also have some other required materials for band. So in addition to their instrument, they will need a band book. We use Standard of Excellence Book 1, and each book is instrument specific. So if your child's a flute player, they'll need a flute book. If they're a trumpet player, they'll need a trumpet book. And you can purchase those online. You could get them on Amazon. They are going to be listed on our supply list on Music and Arts as well, with everything else that students need. So you can choose to buy them wherever you want. We just kind of put them all in one place. Students will also need a music stand. I will say that Cape Elizabeth is saturated with former band students. We have had a program long before I was here at Cape with lots of students going through the band program. So there's most likely in your neighborhood some dusty wire music stands looking for a new home. So before you go out and purchase a music stand, you can always check around your neighborhood, put a post in an online forum, and I bet you could probably score one for free. So students will need a music stand to put their book on so they can sit up with good posture. And then each instrument has some instrument-specific supplies. So for our woodwinds, those are reeds, and I listed specific brand and strength for reeds. The reed is the piece of wood that goes on clarinets and alto saxophones, and it's actually what makes the sound of their instrument. And again, like instruments, not all reed brands are good and cause frustration, so I listed the specific one that students need. There's also some cleaning swabs that helps pull the water out of their instrument, which helps prevent damage and going into the repair shop. And then for our brass instruments, we need different oils and slide grease depending on what type of brass instrument we have. So it's linked below, instrument by instrument, everything that they need. And if you do if let's say you're buying an instrument elsewhere, but you need those supplies, if you click on that link and if you decided to purchase them through Music and Arts, if you do the ship to school option, they'll actually ship right to the school to me, and then you can pick it up on the 31st as well. But you can of course buy these products anywhere. And then the only other thing students are going to need for band are some non-Bluetooth headphones. So headphones that are going to plug into their iPad, not the AirPods. I have a pair of AirPods, they're lovely, but they end up having a delay for the program we're using. using. So just nothing fancy, just a pair of plug-in headphones that they can use once we start using our kind of online program that we do for assignments. So those are all the things that students need. Everything is linked, and if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Bye!